Hi, this is Sue Jackson of the Book by Book blog, and I'm here with my Friday reads. This is my quick weekly reading wrap-up of what I am currently reading as we head into the weekend. I think I was just starting this last week when I recorded my Friday reads, As They Were by M.F.K. Fisher. This is a nonfiction classic that I didn't get to during Nonfiction November, though it was in my very large stack. And I'm so glad I got to it now. It is a collection of personal essays. She is renowned for her food writing, and there's plenty of that in here. But they are also personal essays, very memoir-like, about her life. The very first essay is all about her childhood growing up in California. And she says in a preface that she intended to write it not as an adult looking back on her childhood, but as her child view of the world when she was that age. And I loved that. That made it really, really interesting to me and very relatable. This was originally written in 1955, but she updated it throughout the years. Her final update was actually 1982, pretty modern. And I think what she did in those updates was add the little introductions to each essay that give kind of her more modern perspective on what she was writing about at the time. Much of this takes place in France, especially in Provence. So it was one reason I am reading it now is that it was a great choice for the Mardi Gras Readathon, which is being hosted by Kat's Novel Adventures and Laurie at Books, Ink, and Paper. This is the bingo for Mardi Gras, for their Mardi Gras Readathon, and this book fits both set in France and food. So I thought that was perfect timing for that. I'm very much enjoying the essays. I'm about 3/4 of the way through now. Much of it does take place in France, in various places that she lived, including a few places in Provence, tiny little towns and larger cities. So I'm really enjoying being immersed in her descriptions of these places. And of course, she's renowned for her food writing. There's plenty of that in here. But it's also about the people and the surroundings and the nature around her. I don't know why it took me so long to try M.F.K. Fisher, because I'm very much enjoying this collection of essays as they were. One evening I had finished the essay I was reading and still had about 10 minutes to go before lights out time. Wanted to read a little bit more, but didn't really want to get into the next essay. So I realized I have a huge backlog of graphic novels and graphic memoirs and nonfiction. So I started reading Look on the Bright Side by Lily Williams and Karen Schneeman. This features the same cast of girls as their earlier book, Go with the Flow, which I also enjoyed. That was also a graphic novel. So these are 4 friends. I think in Go with the Flow, they were maybe 9th graders, 8th or 9th graders. Here, they're starting their sophomore year. As you can see, it's a diverse group of friends with different interests and different personalities. I don't really even know much about what this is about so far. I'm only up to page 30, but I know that I enjoyed the previous book by these authors featuring these characters. Oh, the tagline at the top says, "Old friends, new loves, the future is looking bright." So I'm looking forward to reading more of that. And on audio, I have been listening, yes, I still use an iPod. I have been listening to I Am Not Alone by Francisco X. Stork. I love this author's YA novels. This is YA. I've I was putting it on my blog this week when I was just starting this audio, and on my Monday post on my blog where I update what I'm reading, I went back to look at which other books I had read of his. And it turns out I read like 6 or 7 of them. I'll link down below to my blog post where you can see my other reviews of Francisco X. Stork novels. He's written a wide variety of novels on all different kinds of topics, but they are always filled with well-drawn characters, emotional depth, compassion. This one, as with a few of his earlier novels, is about mental illness. In this case, the main character is a young man named Alberto. He is from Mexico. He's undocumented, living in Brooklyn with his sister and his sister's baby, who he adores, and his sister's often abusive boyfriend. The boyfriend is not a good person. He's very cruel. Alberto really wants his sister to leave him, but he's kind of supporting them. They live in an apartment that he's provided. Alberto works as much as he can for the boyfriend, whose name is Wayne. He owns several apartment buildings. So Alberto works for him, doing maintenance, painting, things like that. As the novel opens, Alberto is getting concerned because he has started hearing a voice in his head. Not like himself thinking, but like an outside voice that no one else can hear. He's very worried about this. Someone, I think he had helped clean out the apartment of an older man who had given him an old Captain America comic, and he really enjoyed that. So he's nicknamed this voice in his head Captain America. But Captain America is saying some really disturbing things to Alberto. He's telling him to do things. Alberto is a really kind, gentle person. This voice is really upsetting to him. It's extremely disturbing. I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but my husband's on the electric keyboard. He's got his headphones on, so you can't hear the music, but he's pounding really hard on it. Hopefully you can't hear that. Okay, so Alberto's really concerned. So one day he is sent to an apartment in one of the wealthier buildings that Wayne is landlord for. Or maybe he's more of a superintendent, I don't know. Alberto goes over. The guys who painted the apartment left paint splatters on the windows, and the mother and daughter who just moved in want that cleaned up. So Alberto comes in to do that. There is a girl about his age. I think she's 18 when this begins. Her name is Grace. Her parents have just divorced, and she's living in that apartment with her mom. And Grace is going through some difficult times, in large part because of the divorce. But it's really got her, she was one of these teens, high achiever, straight A's, in fact, on course to be valedictorian, on course to go to Princeton for pre-med. Her whole life has been planned out. She's just been this high achiever with being completely sure of exactly what she wanted. And she has a boyfriend, Michael. And as this opens, Grace is suddenly feeling unsure about everything in her life. And she's never felt like this before. Her father, who's a psychologist, is suggesting she might be depressed, but, she's like, Dad, don't shrink me. So she's also very upset right now by her life, by just wondering if everything she's doing is right or if she's been making the wrong decisions. if her path in life might be something completely different. So it's at this point that Alberto and Grace's paths cross. And from there, the story moves forward. Alberto's condition worsens. He and Grace are attracted to each other right away, and I don't just mean that physically. I mean they just sort of mesh. They talk to each other really easily, and a friendship blooms. I'm really enjoying it. The audio is excellent, very immersive. The chapters alternate between Alberto and Grace, so you get both perspectives. I knew from the beginning I was in, for a great novel, just because I've read so many by Stork. Highly recommend all of his books. Again, I'll link below to my blog, where I have reviewed many of his YA novels. All of them recommended. That's what I'm reading right now. I would love to hear what you're reading this weekend. Please let me know in the comments down below. I love to chat about books. And please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already.